G'day, fugitive Australian journalist Shane Dowling from the website kangaroocourtofaustralia.com. Now, police perjury at the Australian Federal Police and ACT policing, which are the same thing, is now commonplace. They're consistently doing it. And that shows up last week, where up to 9 police officers were about to commit perjury, but the first one did. He hopped in the witness stand, committed perjury, was caught out via video evidence. And then they, in effect, pulled the case, which meant the other 8 officers, or up to 8 officers, who were about to give evidence. They didn't have to give evidence, but if the first one committed perjury, that means the other 8 were going to have to commit perjury too, because they're obviously going to support him. And you put that together with the articles I've been publishing over the last 6 months in relation to the ACT inquiry, where federal police, who are the ACT policing, they were committing perjury. Scott Muller, he hopped in the witness stand and got busted committing perjury. Marcus Borman, they were tampering with evidence. They was caught out, etc. But let's have a look at the case last week, which was in relation to 2 footballers, Latrell Mitchell and Jack Wighton. Now, Mitchell was charged with affray, fighting in public place and resisting a territory official. And his mate or friend or fellow footballer, Jack Wighton, was charged with fighting in a public place and failing to comply with a police direction. And they all beat up charges. You can see the video. There was no real fighting. There was a bit of pushing and shoving. There's no justification for the police to arrest either of them. And so the police obviously were going to perjure themselves. Well, they did perjure themselves, at least one of them. And the other 8 were lining up to perjure themselves as well. Don't know if they're going to call all 8 police officers, but they're going to call a few, and apparently a number of them, including the one who perjured himself, is under investigation by the ACT police, which they're going to sweep that under the carpet like they normally do. Now, it says here in some of the reporting, Sergeant David Power, one of the 9 ACT policing officers on the scene, had previously alleged that Wighton was ejected from the Wighton nightclub after he witnessed an NRL player with a clenched fist, anger in his face, and holding a man by the shirt. Now, that was all beat-up bullshit. It says Power's version of the events was challenged by Wighton's barrister, Steve Boland, after Boland recreated a timeline of events based on footage of the alleged incident. Power admitted he gave false evidence while testifying against the rugby league stars. He says, "What I saw appears to have not happened and my memory has failed me." Now, remember, some of the reporting saying he claimed he had a memory issue, which he didn't say before he gave the evidence. He's saying that after he gave the evidence, after he was busted perjuring himself, because the CCTV footage doesn't align with his lies in his written statement and what he gave under oath. So the following day in the court hearing, which was Wednesday last week, the 1st of November 2023, the Crown prosecutor, or the ACT prosecutor, said they're not going to call any more evidence. The reason they're not going to call any more evidence because they've got 1 police officer perjuring themselves. Obviously, the rest of the police officers who were about to give evidence, and up to another 8. Maybe they weren't going to call them more, but they're going to call another 4 or 5 from what I can gather, at least. They're obviously their evidence align with the one who perjured himself, who admitted perjury. So they're not going to call those others because they were going to have to perjure themselves as well. So basically the case folded. So everyone involved in the case, all the police officers and also the prosecutors, should be charged with attempting to pervert the course of justice, attempting to have someone falsely charged. Now, there are reports that Latrell Mitchell and Jack Wighton are considering their options to institute proceedings for false arrest. Hopefully they do. Hopefully that'll help some of the truth come out. Now, with what happened last week, if you put that together with some of the reporting I did on the ACT inquiry where police officers were perjuring themselves, you really see it's a total and utter epidemic for police officers in the ACT and the Australian Federal Police to commit perjury, because ACT policing are a division of the Australian Federal Police. The ACT don't have their own police force. So the Federal Police, who have their head office in Canberra, ACT, have a thing called ACT policing, which is a branch of the Federal Police. So if perjury is commonplace in the ACT policing, it's commonplace in the Federal Police as well. And let's have a look at one of the articles I wrote back in May. The title is AFP Detective Scott Muller committed perjury at the ACT inquiry trying to conceal aiding and abetting Bruce Lerman. And I'll just read you out the first 3 paragraphs. Detective Superintendent Scott Muller has blatantly committed perjury at the ACT Police Corruption Inquiry when he gave evidence on Tuesday, the 23rd of May. And the two key witnesses are Bruce Lerman's barristers, Steve Whybrow and John Corn. Steve Whybrow and John Corn have in effect accused Detective Superintendent Scott Muller of helping them with Bruce Lerman's defence. And that is why Scott Muller refuted their version of events when he was in the witness stand. The dispute and evidence between Scott Muller and Steve Whybrow is really Muller's downfall, at least as far as the key issues are concerned. But I'll start off with the John Corn issue first, which is minor in comparison. Now, I'll put a link below this video on YouTube to that article because it shows a number of ACT police officers were involved committing perjury, lying and deceiving. Now, that article and other articles I've written in relation to the ACT inquiry, Marcus Borman trying to conceal evidence, etc., shows widespread corruption with ACT policing. Put that together with up to nine police officers last week who were going to commit perjury. If Latrell, Mitchell and Jack Wighton weren't in a position where they could afford a barrister and a quality barrister and lawyers, etc., they would have been in a lot of trouble because they had up to 9 police officers about to commit perjury to try and stitch them up. And they're high-profile football players. Imagine what the ACT police do to the average person. Totally stitch them up, don't give a shit. Get away with it all the time. And yeah, make sure you click on the link below this video and read that article. It really puts into perspective how corrupt the ACT policing are. And Kangaroo Court of Australia's independent media. I publish a website and a YouTube channel, and I'm 100% crowdfunded from viewers like yourself. So please support my Patreon account. You can donate any amount, $3, $5, $10, $15, $20, $30, $40, $50 a month, whatever suits your budget. It all helps out. And the link for the Patreon account is below this video on YouTube and also on my website. Other than that, please share this video on social media. And thank you for your time and have a good day.